Some women leave echoes in the souls of men, whispers of their essence that linger like shadows cast by a fleeting moon. These women, radiant in their unconscious power, wield traits that Carl Jung might have seen as archetypal flames, qualities so potent they carve themselves into the male psyche, haunting it for a lifetime. These are not mere superficial charms, but deep primal forces that stir the unconscious, awaken the shadow, and challenge the ego's fragile illusions. What are these traits? These alchemical sparks that burn so fiercely in the hearts of men? They are not what the world expects, nor what society demands. They are the untamed, the eternal, the feminine divine that dances between light and dark, pulling men into a confrontation with their own souls. Consider the first trait, authenticity, the raw courage to exist as one's truest self. Jung spoke of individuation, the lifelong journey to integrate the conscious and unconscious, to become whole. A woman who embodies authenticity is a mirror, reflecting a man's own fragmented self back at him. She does not perform, does not contort to fit the molds of expectation. Her presence is a blade, cutting through the masks men wear to shield their vulnerabilities. When she speaks, her words carry the weight of truth, unapologetic and unfiltered. This authenticity haunts because it demands the same from him, a reckoning with his own inauthenticity, his own compromises. Have you ever stood in the presence of such a woman, felt the way her gaze pierces, not with judgment, but with an invitation to shed the lies you've told yourself? She does not beg for approval, nor does she offer it cheaply. Her existence is a silent challenge. Be real or be nothing. Then there is the trait of emotional sovereignty, a stoic echo of Seneca's wisdom that one must rule their own mind before ruling others. This woman does not cling to external validation. She is not swayed by the fleeting tides of praise or rejection. Her emotions are a river, deep and flowing, but she is the one who charts its course. Men, so often caught in the projection of their own anima, the feminine within their unconscious, find themselves undone by her refusal to be possessed. She is not a canvas for their fantasies, nor a vessel for their unhealed wounds. Instead, she stands as a sovereign entity, her heart a fortress built on self-knowing. This haunts men because it forces them to confront their own dependency, their need to control or define her. Have you ever felt the pull to define yourself through another's eyes, to lose yourself in the mirror of their approval? She does not allow this. She demands you face your own reflection. The third trait is mystery, the Jungian shadow that eludes capture. Jung believed the shadow holds what we repress, what we fear to acknowledge. A woman who embodies mystery does not reveal all. She is a labyrinth, inviting yet unknowable. Her silence speaks louder than words. Her glances carry stories untold. This is not manipulation, but a natural unfolding of her depth. Men are drawn to her like moths to a flame, not because but because she exists in layers, some seen, some hidden, all sacred. This mystery haunts because it mirrors the man's own uncharted depths, the parts of himself he has yet to explore. To love her is to embark on a journey inward, to face the shadow he has long avoided. Can you feel the weight of the unknown in her presence? The way it beckons you to dive deeper, to risk the safety of the surface. These traits, authenticity, emotional sovereignty, mystery, are not mere adornments. They are the feminine archetype in its purest form, a force that Jung might have called the anima's sacred fire. They haunt because they awaken. They stir the male psyche, pulling her toward individuation, toward the painful but necessary work of becoming whole. Yet, these are but the beginning. The feminine divine carries more traits that burn brighter, cut deeper, and linger longer. A woman who embodies these qualities does not merely exist, she transforms. She is not a fleeting infatuation but a lifelong echo, a reminder of what it means to be human, to be alive, to be whole. The echo of a woman's presence lingers, not in the fleeting glow of her beauty, but in the seismic ripples she sends through the male unconscious. These ripples, born of the feminine archetype, are not gentle, they are torrents, tearing at the roots of a man's carefully constructed ego. Beyond authenticity, emotional sovereignty, and mystery, there lies a fourth trait, fierce compassion, a paradox that wounds as it heals. Jung might have seen this as the anima's dual nature, both nurturing and relentless, a force that cradles and challenges in equal measure. This woman does not offer shallow pity. Her compassion is a blade, cutting through denial to expose raw truth. She sees a man's pain, his hidden fractures, and instead of turning away, she holds space for his unraveling. Yet, her kindness is not weakness, it demands accountability. Have you ever been held in such a gaze? One that sees your wounds but refuses to let you hide in them. Her compassion haunts because it forces a man to face his fragility, to abandon the stoic mask of invulnerability. Marcus Aurelius might have warned against control your perceptions, yes, but never deny your humanity. This fierce compassion flows into the fifth trait, resilience, the unyielding spirit that rises from the ashes of suffering. Jung's concept of individuation requires confrontation with the shadow, the parts of the self buried beneath shame or fear. A resilient woman has walked through her own inferno, her trials forging a core of steel wrapped in velvet. She does not collapse under life's weight. She transmutes it. Men, often taught to suppress their own pain, find themselves haunted by her ability to endure, to transform trauma into wisdom. Her resilience is a mirror, reflecting their own unacknowledged wounds, their own unclaimed strength. Epictetus taught that we do not control events, only our responses. This woman embodies that truth. Her scars are not hidden. They are her sigils, proof of her survival. Can you feel the weight of her presence? The way it silently asks, what have you overcome, and what are you still running from? The sixth trait is unapologetic sensuality, not as a performance for others, but as a sacred connection to her own body and soul. Jung's anima is the bridge to the unconscious, and this woman's sensuality is its living expression, a dance of instinct and spirit. She moves through the world with an embodied grace, unafraid of her desires, unashamed of her physicality. This is not seduction in the shallow sense. It is a celebration of life itself, a refusal to disconnect from the primal pulse of existence. Men are haunted by this because it confronts their own repression, their disconnection from their own bodies and desires. Society teaches men to conquer, to control, but her sensuality invites surrender not to her, but to the raw vitality of being. Have you ever watched a woman move with such freedom, felt the way it stirs a longing to reclaim your own aliveness, to shed the armor of restraint? These traits, fears, compassion, resilience, unapologetic sensuality, build upon the foundation of authenticity, sovereignty, and mystery, weaving a tapestry that is both divine and human. They haunt men not because they are unattainable, but because they are undeniable. A woman who embodies these qualities is a living paradox. She is both the safe harbor and the storm, the muse and the mirror. She does not merely exist in a man's world. She reshapes it, forcing him to confront his projections, his fears, his unintegrated self. Jung believed the anima guides a man toward wholeness, but only if he dares to follow her into the depths. This woman, with her fierce compassion, her resilient spirit, her unapologetic sensuality, is that guide. She does not lead with words, but with her being, her presence, a call to awaken. To love her is to risk transformation, to face the shadow and emerge changed. And yet, there is one final trait, one last spark that completes this archetype, a quality that ties all others together and burns eternal in the male psyche. The feminine archetype, woven from authenticity, emotional sovereignty, mystery, fierce compassion, resilience, and unapologetic sensuality, culminates in a final trait that binds them all, the luminous essence of a woman who has claimed her soul's truth. Jung might have called this the spark of the self, the divine core that emerges through individuation, where the ego surrenders to the greater whole. This radiance is not a superficial glow, not the fleeting allure of youth or charm, but a light that burns from within, forged in the crucible of self-awareness and acceptance. It is the quiet power of a woman who knows her worth, not as a reflection of external validation, but as an unassailable truth rooted in her being. This radiance haunts men because it is both a beacon and a challenge, illuminating their own unclaimed potential while exposing the shadows they dare not face. Inner radiance manifests as a presence that transcends words, a quiet authority that commands without demanding. She walks through the world with a stillness that speaks of stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius called to live in accordance with nature, to align with one's deepest truth. Her radiance is not performative. It is the natural emanation of a soul that has wrestled with its own darkness and emerged whole. Men feel this, even if they cannot name it. They are drawn to her light, yet unsettled by its intensity, for it reveals their own inner fragmentation. Have you ever stood before such a woman? Felt the way her presence stirs a longing to be more, to shed the weight of pretense and step into your own truth. Her radiance is a mirror, reflecting not only what a man desires, but what he fears to become whole, vulnerable, alive. This final trait completes the archetype, tying together the threads of the feminine divine. Authenticity grounds her, emotional sovereignty frees her, mystery deepens her, fierce compassion sharpens her, resilience strengthens her, sensuality enlivens her, and radiance illuminates her. Together, these traits form a presence that haunts, because it is eternal. Archetypal, a living embodiment of Jung's anima, the feminine within that men project outward, seeking to reclaim what they have lost within themselves. To encounter such a woman is to face a paradox. She is both intimately familiar and impossibly elusive, a figure who stirs the soul's deepest longings while demanding the courage to confront one's own shadow. She does not haunt through manipulation or seduction, but through the sheer force of her being, a force that echoes Seneca's Stoic maxim, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This haunting is not a curse, but an invitation, a call to men to undertake their own journey of individuality. Jung taught that the anima is a guide, leading the psyche toward integration, but only through the painful work of facing the unconscious. A woman who embodies these 7 traits of sovereignty, mystery, compassion, resilience, sensuality, radiance becomes that guide, not by choice but by her very existence. She challenges men to shed their illusions, to abandon the ego's need for control, to embrace the vulnerability of their own humanity. And for women who watch this, who feel the stirrings of these traits within themselves, the question burns: are you ready to claim this power? To step into the fullness of your archetype, to become the woman who haunts not just others, but the world itself, with the truth of who you are. This is the alchemy of the feminine divine, not a fleeting enchantment, but a transformative force that reshapes those who encounter it. It is the courage to live unapologetically, to love fiercely, to shine without dimming. As the narration draws toward its close, the focus shifts inward, toward the viewer, toward you. The traits that haunt are not distant ideals. They are seeds within, waiting to be nurtured. To embody them is to walk the path of individuation, to face the shadow, to embrace the light. The woman who knows her worth does not chase, she chooses.